Welcome to the Just As I Am podcast. As always, it's your host, Nicole, and today we are going to be talking about a certain group of people. We are going to be talking about the least of these. So, when you hear the term the least of these, what comes to mind for you? You know, usually we hear or we see something and it automatically brings our mind to this one specific thing. So, when you hear that phrase, the least of these, what pops up in your mind? So, as a perhaps conditioned Christian, right? Our brains typically go to the Bible. And we've heard this probably more times than we can count. But what does it mean? Because usually when we hear something in the Bible, it doesn't exactly mean like, oh, purple is purple. Like purple means something, right? Like in the Bible, it usually means like royalty or something, right? So what does this phrase mean? Now, when you dig into your Bible, you can go to Matthew 25:40, and I am reading this from the CSB version. And it says, "And the king will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.'" So that gives us absolutely no kinds of context, right? Absolutely none. But in this verse, it's basically telling us that whatever we do for Christ's people, it's like we did it for him personally. But specifically, we're going to try to figure out who these least of these people are, right? Because how can we help these people if we have no idea who they are, right? Right. So essentially, these people, this group of people, are the needy. The needy, people who are hungry, who are thirsty, who are impoverished, who are sick, even imprisoned people. So let's talk about some of these people from the Bible, right? Now, before we get into that, let's go back a little bit. These people are typically believers. These people are typically Christians, right? At least that's what we get from the biblical standpoint. Now, some people try to say it's for everyone who is on this earth, but I'll just leave that to you to dig and research more on your own. So, if we go and we look for some of these people in the Bible, we are going to start with the man who was lowered through the roof. Now, this guy has been coming up in my day-to-day pretty often, lately anyways. We talked about him in Sunday school. We've talked about him at work in our lessons. He's just been a constant guy lately. So how is this man, the man who was lowered, one of the least of these? So his story, if you don't know it, you're fixing to know, is he was basically paralyzed. He could not walk. He was immobile in that way. And Jesus was back in town. And when Jesus was in town, message got around, word got around, and everybody and their mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, dog, cat, whatever, they were wherever Jesus was. Okay, so wherever Jesus was, all of these people were there. Okay, so Jesus was in town, and everybody was there to see him. Now, the building that Jesus was in was absolutely packed. People sardines, okay? Could not get in, could not get out. There was absolutely no kind of room. But this man had absolutely amazing friends, right? And right now you're probably thinking, Nicole, Jesus healed this man. Yes, that's not my point though. When we build up to that part of the story, we find that this man, his friends were going to do absolutely everything they could to get him to Jesus. They couldn't get him in the door, couldn't get him in the window. So what did they do? Climbed up on the roof, cut a hole in the roof, and lowered their friend down. Lowered him down. I mean, these are the kinds of friends that we need in our life, right? People who would cut a hole in a roof so we could meet Jesus. But his friends not only brought him to Jesus, but ensured that he could get to Jesus, right? And that is how that wraps around to the paralyzed man getting lowered through the roof being a least of these. He needed help, and his friends did absolutely everything that they could to ensure that he made it to Jesus to get what he was going for. Another instance would be when Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan. Now, we've all definitely heard this one, right? He stopped to help a man who was sick, injured, robbed, alone, right? And we've also talked about Naomi and Ruth before, right? Naomi traveled to a whole nother land with her sons and husband. They all died, okay? So Naomi was like, look, can't handle going back home. And Ruth went with her, right? So how are they at least of these, right? Ruth went to reap, right? She went to go get some of the leftover harvest. And then our man Boaz comes in, right? And Boaz is like, let them get more than they need. Boaz understood that Naomi and Ruth were struggling, and he helped them. Another person, and you're probably going to think this one is wild, but you know what? It made sense to me. Joseph, okay, hear me out. Joseph, with his coat of many colors, that Joseph. Joseph was in prison at one time, remember? Because when snotty people do snotty things, bad things happen to good people. Hence how Joseph got here to begin with, right? Right. So Joseph was in prison at one time, and sure, his cellmate forgot about him for a minute, but eventually helped him get out of prison, because what was the only request Joseph had for his friends when he translated their dreams? To remember him, right? It took him a little bit, but the man remembered him, and everything went up from there. Most of the time, hold on. Let me go back for a second. Another one. Rahab. Okay, I'm going to give you like 3 seconds to think about a reason why Rahab was a handy-dandy helper. Rahab helped the spies by hiding them and keeping them safe from her own people, even helping them get out. She found them, she let them in. She was like, in here, come on guys, I'll keep you safe. I'll keep you nice and warm. From her own people. And then, when she knew the time was right, she helped them escape. She was a fabulous woman in the end. So most of the time when we try to help other Christians, we typically do mission work, but we do it abroad, right? We go to other countries. A lot of the time we don't even worry about our own neighbors. We don't worry about the people who are in our country, state, city, let alone our own neighborhood. And we want to start big, but we don't even aid in the easiest or simplest of places. Now, this is the time of year where everyone is focused on helping others, right? Because what's coming up? Thanksgiving. And what comes after Thanksgiving? Christmas, right? It's a huge time of year for just aiding and thinking and caring about others. But once that these times of years pass, like literally, let's say January 1st rolls around, when it's all said and done, what does everybody's focus go to? Because I can tell you, it doesn't stick. It doesn't stay concerned about our neighbors. It doesn't stay concerned about our fellow, in my case, Tennesseans. It doesn't stick with our Americans. We don't keep that mentality. We don't keep that fire burning. And it has to go somewhere. So where does it go? Like I said, Thanksgiving is coming up, and we are in the thankful mood. One thing our church just got done with is the Operation Christmas Child shoeboxes, and soon we'll be working on the Lottie Moon offering. But after that, what's the plan? And I know it's not just our church, it's other churches, but what's the plan? I'm not saying that it's not right to help people go abroad or, help people around the world. But at the same time, I'm just trying to bring the message that it is important to work in your own personal area. I feel it is so important to work in the areas that you go day to day, or that surround you, or that a very close drive for you, somewhere in your proximity. You know what I mean? So this season and the next season and the season after that and the season after that and the season after that, I want you to stay focused on keeping that least of these mentality. I want you to always remember and never forget and never let them just pop up every now and then. I want you to focus on helping those who need help, especially your fellow Christians. And it's not even just aiding in money or food or shelter. It might just be helping them with their relationship with Christ. So they might be in a place where work isn't going good for them, or just a family matter that's happening, or just someone is sick. You just have to give them a little bit of stability, pray for them, reassure them that it is all going to work out in the end. Everything is going to be fine. Whatever happens for a reason. It is God's intention how things happen. And sometimes that's hard for us to understand or grasp or, want to accept. But, with aid, with help, with stability from your fellow Christians, that can make a world of a difference. Just reassuring. And, just putting that hand on them, or whether it's a physical hand or just that imaginary hand, just reaching and keeping them on your mind. But in the end, I want you to shine like you always do this season. And one thing that, well, a couple of things, I guess. Some of the things this season, and I try to do it more than once a year, but this year I was trying to think of our Kingdom Kids Christmas party, and I was trying to think about things to do, or what to do, or where to go, field trip, just something, And I thought about it, and I was going in, it was probably Hobby Lobby. But I'm sure it was other places too. But I think it was definitely Hobby Lobby this time, when it was like, oh, do that. Going in, you see the Salvation Army bucket. And I have done that a couple of times with, when I was in youth, we went and we rang the bell for the Salvation Army. And I was like, ooh, they would love that. That would be fun. So for our Christmas party, we're going to go to a local small business that is a Christian small business, Christian based. And we are going to ring the bell there. And then I'm just going to take my kids inside and we're going to get ice cream. Yes, it will probably be cold, but you know what? I don't think they'll care. They might be hot from all the energy I am expecting. So, but that's one thing. Another thing that we are doing that I love to do every year, this is probably the, oh goodness, 4th or 5th year, I don't know, of doing it, is collecting shelter donations. And we've got 2 shelters in mind. We are going to give to an animal shelter in our town and to a women and children shelter around our town. That is a rehabilitation center. And I have definitely been giving to these places for sure for the past couple of years. And I love giving it to them. And I love taking the kids, because we take the collections from our church and our family and our friends and stuff, and we deliver them. And this way they can see what we're giving to, and it makes it extra special, and it helps them understand better what we're giving and why we're giving and how it is needed. So let me know what you like to do during this season, and just any other season, how you love to help the least of these. And I don't want to say your favorite go-to, but like, what way do you see yourself helping the most often? I guess I could say. That's a good one. Yeah, let's go for that. What is your favorite way to help the least of these, or the most constant way that you help the least of these? Let me know, and I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving, and that you just think about all the ways that you have been blessed and what you were so thankful about, and give God all that glory, because we would have nothing without Him. And yeah, so I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye.